What happens when you combine elite youth, elite defense, veteran toughness, and one of the greatest scorers in NBA history?
Booker's been the man in the clutch for the Suns over the last several years, but it's Durant!
You don't just get a good team, you get a ticking time bomb ready to blow up everything we thought we knew about the Western Conference. No, you're not dreaming. Kevin Durant is officially a Houston Rocket. And this isn't just another superstar changing teams. It's a move that could tilt the balance of power in the West overnight, because the Houston Rockets were already one of the youngest, most promising teams in the league. And now they've added a top-tier scorer, a playoff-tested veteran, and a player who still demands double teams every time he touches the ball. But this isn't just about KD, it's about what this team already was and what they've quietly added around him. Because with a loaded young core and a few key veteran pieces, the Rockets might now be the most unpredictable and most dangerous team in the entire league. 52 wins, their best season of the 2020s. 5 years removed from rock bottom, Houston climbed all the way to the number 2 seed in the West. No shortcuts, no superstar trade-ups, just a carefully built roster featuring young, homegrown core, veteran players, and a second-year head coach who instilled a gritty, defense-first identity. The numbers supported the rise. Top 5 in defensive rating, top 10 in net rating, one of the youngest rotations in the league, and yet one of the most disciplined on both ends. That regular season dominance earned them home court advantage in the first round against the Warriors, a battle-tested team, but one that showed signs of slowing down. But in the end, Golden State's experience and shooting saw them through. The Warriors exposed Houston's fatal flaw, offense. Despite finishing 12th in offensive rating, the Rockets survived on second-chance point and defensive chaos, not half-court execution. When it mattered most, their offense stalled completely.
Get a great screen by Moses Moody against that zone.
That's a block by Looney.
The loss revealed the truth. They were a defensive juggernaut that couldn't score consistently. A foundation, not a finished product. In Game 7, Houston dominated the glass and paint, but shot just 40.5% from field. While they struggled to score, Buddy Hield exploded for 9 threes. Houston made just 6 as a team. The inconsistency was glaring. Van Vliet had flashes, Sengun couldn't find mismatches, and Jalen Green collapsed under playoff pressure. The Rockets could defend anyone, but couldn't score when it mattered most. The Rockets had the 5th stingiest defense in the league, but their offense never caught up, and that imbalance cost them. Every game turned into a war of attrition, and when the dust settled, Golden State's experience and shot making proved to be the difference in a 7-game slugfest. The series didn't just end a season, it exposed the truth. Houston could guard anyone, but they couldn't score when it mattered. And that one flaw, that single point of failure, now defined the biggest challenge of their offseason. But less than 2 months after their season ended in heartbreak, the Rockets made their move. Not a safe pickup, a full-blown power shift. Houston traded for Kevin Durant. And just like that, the Rockets jumped from postseason up-and-comer to full-blown juggernaut overnight. Kevin Durant had just wrapped up one of the most efficient scoring seasons of his career on a team that never quite figured itself out. Phoenix was messy. The rotations were inconsistent, the chemistry was off, and the defense broke down far too often. But through it all, Durant delivered a stretch of offensive production that belonged in a textbook.
Durant probing against Gordon, crosses over, pump fakes, shot, got it! Surgical!
Since arriving in the Valley, he averaged 26.8 points per game, and in 2024-25, the numbers barely dipped. He opened the season on a tear, guiding the Suns to an 8-1 start. 7 of those wins came in crunch time. Durant led the entire league in clutch scoring during that span, 5 points per game on 63.2% shooting when the game was on the line. The execution was clinical, the decision-making unmatched. He wasn't just scoring, he was controlling the tempo, anchoring possessions, and closing games like clockwork. Then the injury hit. Durant missed 7 straight games. Phoenix went 0-7. Every flaw the team managed to cover up with KD on the floor was suddenly exposed. The offense collapsed, the defense followed. The Suns unraveled without their anchor. Durant suited up for 62 games in 24-25. Phoenix went 33-29 in those games. In the 20 he missed, they won just 3. The drop-off was steep. Without him, the Suns didn't just struggle, they collapsed. Night in, night out, Durant delivered elite production, 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1.24 blocks per game. Only 6 players hit those marks last season. Of that group, only Giannis joined him while also averaging at least 1 block. From deep, he was even better. Durant hit 43% from 3, second best among players averaging 2 or more makes per game. He was efficient at every level, unbothered by defenders, unrushed in tight moments.
Number 1 in the NBA.
Durant for 3.
The advanced numbers told the same story. With Durant on the floor, the Suns' net rating was 0.5. Without him, negative 11.5. Durant didn't just put up numbers, he carried a flawed team through a chaotic season. Now he heads to Houston, where the defense is top 5, the rebounding is elite, and the structure isn't built on hope. Say what you want about Kevin Durant, the tweets, the drama, the way he handles criticism, but once the game starts, none of that matters. The production never stops, the skill never fades. Durant remains one of the most lethal offensive weapons in basketball, unguardable from all 3 levels. He's averaged 25 plus points for 16 straight seasons and just completed his 7th career 50, 40, 90 campaign. No other player has more than 3. Houston doesn't just add a scorer, they add the scorer. But Durant doesn't just score, he warps defenses. He bends the floor, and more importantly, he solves Houston's biggest problem. The Rockets won 52 games last season behind Ime Udoka's system and a rising core. Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Fred VanVleet, and Alperen Sengun. They pushed Golden State to 7 games, but in the moments that mattered most, they lacked a closer. No one to anchor possessions late. No one to guarantee points when the game slowed down. Durant fills that hole completely. He steps into this team as the undisputed number 1 option. The offense now has a center of gravity it can orbit around. Yes, they lost Jalen Green, their leading scorer at 21 points per game, but that loss is absorbed instantly. Durant replaces the raw volume with polish and efficiency. But what makes this fit so perfectly is that Durant doesn't need the ball constantly to dominate a game. His gravity alone shifts defensive game plans. That's a huge boost for Sengun in the post. It frees up Thompson on the open floor. It gives VanVleet more spacing. It opens up catch and shoot looks for Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, and Reed Shepherd. And the best part, Houston's identity stays the same.
Into the lane, got the shot.
They don't have to sacrifice the things that made them elite. Crashing the offensive glass, switching on defense, limiting threes, and staying physical. All the gritty stuff stays. Every lineup that was already good last year becomes a nightmare with Durant plugged in. For a team that already had a championship-level defense, the fit is seamless. The upside is ridiculous, and the gap between playoff hopeful and title contender just got erased in one move. Durant didn't just raise Houston's ceiling, he may have just set their floor at the Western Conference Finals. But this isn't just about Kevin Durant, because no real contender survives on star power alone. Every championship run is built on role players, guys who defend, rebound, set screen, and make open shots, the dirty work. And this summer, the Rockets didn't just land a superstar, they doubled down on everything that made them dangerous in the first place. In the opening hours of free agency, Houston swiped Dorian Finney-Smith from the Lakers on a 4-year, $53 million deal. Then they re-signed 3 veteran rotation pieces, Jayshawn Tate, Jeff Green, and Aaron Holiday. Just for good measure, they brought back a familiar face, Clint Capela. The result? A retooled machine, still built around Udoka's defensive mindset, still loaded with depth, but now bolstered by experience. Finney-Smith shot a career-high 41% from 3 last season. He steps in to fill the Dillon Brooks role without the volatility. He guards multiple positions, faces the floor, and lightens Durant's defensive load. Yes, losing Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks raised question, the wing depth, the perimeter defense, but Finney-Smith checks those boxes cleanly. He fixed the system, he elevates the floor, and makes the roster smarter on both ends.
To LeBron, here goes Dorian Finney-Smith 3.
Then there's the front court. Alperen Sengun is the future, but Houston just built one of the deepest, most versatile center rotations in the league with Capela, Steven Adams, and Sengun. Capela averaged 8.9 points and 8.5 rebounds in 20 minutes last season, the lowest mark since his second year. But he wasn't asked to do much in Atlanta. In Houston, he doesn't need to be a focal point. He's the insurance. He's an impact off the bench, and he gives Udoka the flexibility to lean harder into the double big lineup that showed flashes last year. Adams brings elite screen setting, physicality, and glass cleaning. Sengun brings passing, footwork, and post offense. Capela brings rim protection and vertical spacing. Each center offers a unique toolkit, and that gives Houston matchup-proof depth at a position that still matters when the game slows down. The Rockets' new depth chart is terrifying. 3 deep at center with Sengun, Adams, and Capela, each bringing different skills. Durant leads a versatile wing rotation, with Finney-Smith and Eason providing elite defense. The backcourt features VanVleet's steadiness, Thompson's defensive brilliance, and Shepard's shooting. It's a roster with answers everywhere: size, skill, defense, experience, and the lineup flexibility to match any opponent. Houston can play big, small, fast, or grind it out, all at an elite level. The projected starting 5 of VanVleet, Thompson, Durant, Smith Jr., and Sengun has the potential to be one of the most dangerous units in the league.
Game against the Blazers last season and almost shot 40% from 3. And then Thompson!
But when Udoka wants to lean into brute force, he can roll out the Sengun-Adams combo, punish teams on the glass last season, and let Durant operate without carrying the physical load he shouldered in Phoenix. Sure, the loss of Dillon Brooks takes away some bite, but Thompson is already knocking on the door of a Defensive Player of the Year campaign, and Smith and Eason can cover nearly any assignment on the wing. Some eyes will go straight to the off-guard spot. It's not traditional, no true shooting guard in sight. Instead, it's a mix of wing, point guard, and a 6'7" defensive cyborg in Ime Thompson. Houston thrived last year running 3 wings at once, and now they've got the tools to do it at an even higher level. This team can play big, they can play small, they can switch everything or slow it down and grind it in the half court. They can run through Durant or let Sengun cook from the high post. They can turn defense into offense, they can win ugly, or they can light you up. No matter how you want to play, Houston has a lineup to break it. But here's the thing. Adding Durant only works if the young core keeps rising, and right now, that's exactly what they're doing. Over the last 5 seasons, the Rockets drafted 10 players. Several were lottery picks. Early on, wins didn't matter. It was all about development, building habits, letting young talent fail, learn, and grow. But that phase is over. The rebuild is behind them. That's why 2023 was the turning point. Houston added Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks, veteran leaders who could stabilize the floor while the kids figured it out. That same mindset carried into 2025, with the Rockets moving on from former top pick Jalen Green and Cam Whitmore. It wasn't a teardown, it was an evolution. Even after trimming the roster, the balance is still there. The Rockets now have one of the NBA's best blends of young talent and battle-tested experience. The young core is ascending rapidly. Alperen Sengun posted 19.1 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 4.9 assists as an all-star, drawing Jokic comparisons with his footwork and vision.
Directing traffic, spin move baseline, double team, behind the back to Christopher!
Now, Durant's spacing unlocks even more. Ime Thompson made the biggest leap, jumping from 9.5 points to 14.1 points, while becoming a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. The 6'7" wing defends 4 positions and controls games with his athleticism. Jabari Smith Jr. signed a 5-year extension after proving his worth. 12.2 points, 7 rebounds, and 35.4% from 3 while defending multiple positions. Add Tari Eason's disruptive defense off the bench, leading all reserves in steals, and Houston's young core is ahead of schedule. And now, Durant walks in. Remember what happened in Golden State? Year 1, dominant. That's the blueprint. And while Houston isn't the 73-win Warriors, they don't need to be. They've already got youth, athleticism, and depth. KD just unlocks it. His arrival transforms the ecosystem. Durant adds elite half-court shot creation and off-ball gravity that lifts every other player on the roster. Sengun and Thompson now have room to evolve in real time, surrounded by better spacing, lower pressure touches, and a game plan built to suit their skill sets.
Backstays with the play, then goes behind the back, and then this time he is able.
That's what makes the Rockets dangerous. Durant doesn't just make teams better, he makes them smarter, faster, more balanced. The gravity he brings forces defenses to break their own rules, and that's where players like Ime and Jabari get easier looks, better read, and cleaner development arcs. This version of the Rockets plays to win. They're deep, they're young, they're smart, they're elite in the areas that matter most come playoff time. Defensive rebounding, switching, protecting the paint, and creating second chances. Udoka's system remains intact, but the pieces inside it just got sharper. The combination of veteran IQ, youthful athleticism, and matchup-proof depth makes Houston one of the most complete rosters in the league. Now, No one knows how the rest of the offseason will unfold, but as it stands, Houston isn't just in the mix, a conference finals appearance is the standard now. That said, this is a young and hungry team. Now with Kevin Durant in the mix, they've added championship DNA to a roster that was already ahead of schedule. The Rockets were rebuilding, now they're reloading for a real shot at the title. If the chemistry hits and Durant stays on the floor, this version of Houston won't just be dangerous, they'll be a problem for the entire league. Let me know in the comments how deep you think this Rockets team can go. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's a lot more coming. Thanks.